Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, the show will start in just a minute.
A little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humble Special Reserve. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
That's right, get yours today because tomorrow may be too late. I mean, we only get so many days given to us and we should take advantage of every single one of them. And that is your life lesson given to you by your Old Humble Guy himself. I am the Old Humble Guy. This is the Old Humble Guy's Whiskey Happy Hour. It's Wednesday, Whiskey Wednesday Happy Hour. Because life is too short for bad whiskey, man. Life is too short for bad whiskey. The Astros won this afternoon. This evening, it was an evening game, primetime game. They were playing the Yankees. Game one of the ALCS, so I raised my glass to them. I raised my glass to you, fine people. Fine people joining us tonight. Cheers to all of you. Cheers to me. Cheers to the Astros. Cheers to the Yankees for properly rolling over and showing their belly. Cheers to everyone. All right. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a little departure from what I normally do because we're doing something a little bit different. We are talking about is not just a cocktail or history or politics or any of the other stuff that I normally do. We're talking about a beautiful, beautiful jewel here in East Texas, the Lone Star Hiking Trail. The Lone Star Hiking Trail. This is my guidebook. Why do you have a guidebook for the old Lone Star Hiking Trail, Old Humble Guy? Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. And I'll explain that later. But I'm not going to explain it right now. This is called a cliffhanger. You're going to have to hang out and find out about that later. But I will tell you this right now. Right now, I will tell you stuff going on the rest of this week. I don't have specific trivia yet planned for tomorrow. I may yet do trivia tomorrow. I am planning to go live from the distillery. I have a couple of builds that I want to do tomorrow. One of those ring toss games with the hanging on the string toss game? Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to do one of those. And I also need to build my production booth so that I can have my computer sitting in a place and not be splayed out on a table and just kind of all over the place. When we do our shows on Friday nights. So I'm going to go live from the distillery tomorrow and do that. I also have some whiskey to bottle and some stuff to do tomorrow. Just general stuff around the shop. So I'll do a long day in the life tomorrow, probably. Instead of trivia. Polska Bob's in the house. Cheers, Polska Bob. I'll probably do that instead of trivia because the Astros, again, they play at 6:30 tomorrow night. And I am very interested in watching the Astros and I'm more interested in watching the Astros than I am in doing trivia. Sorry for my adoring fans and public who love to watch and participate in trivia on Thursday nights. I'm going to be watching the Astros. And we may even be watching the Astros from the distillery. I will make that announcement at some point. Nazdrua? What the fuck is Nazdrua? Bo Low is in the house. That is a name that I haven't seen before. And if you're a person in the house under a pseudonym, then cheers to you. Welcome to the party. Also, I'd like to add welcome to all the new folks that we have. Last week, I think we had like 870, 865, 870, something like that. Cheers and welcome to all you fine folks who have joined the party on the channel. And if you're actually joining the live tonight, cheers to you. We are on our march to 1,000 subscribers. If we hit that 1,000 subscribers before the end of November, I'll fight a kangaroo. You heard it here first. I'll fight or you might have heard it on Bacon's channel first. But either way, we'll be fighting a kangaroo if we hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of November. We are at 889. And in order to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of November, the Safety Doc may be able to give some hints and tips on how to fight a kangaroo safely, because he's all about safety. Yeah, we hit. In order to hit 1,000 by the end of November, I need to be adding like 2.5 subscribers a day, which isn't, it's not out of the question. It's not impossible. But there you go. We hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of November. Fighting a kangaroo. Bip, bip. I got the moves too. I'm pretty sure I can do it. I know I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm not as young as I used to be. But how's the saying go? I'm not as young as I once was, but once I'm as young as I ever was. So we could do it one time. All I need is one good shot. One good shot. Just come bouncing in there, bounce, 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 bip, bip, boom, done. Kangaroo goes down. I'm the interspecies, intercontinental champion. Just like that. Interspecies, intercontinental champion, the old humble guy. I'll get a belt made and everything. It'll be, it's gonna be dope as hell. One of those big old dinner plate sized belt buckles and yeah. And we got a place down the street that has kangaroos. I'm good for this. I'm set. I've been training like a crazy person. I've been hiking, getting my cardio in, doing the heavy bag, working the body, upper body, jab, jab, cross, jab, jab. I got the moves, and I know this for a fact. The kangaroos are sleeping on it. They're not even trying. They're not even training. They're not trying. They're not practicing. They're not nothing. I'm gonna be the one going in there with the eye of the tiger, ready to take the fight to these intercontinental interlopers coming over here, drinking all of our beer and hitting on our women and smoking our cigarettes and doing all the shit the kangaroos do. Taking them down. Cheers to who's that? Bigfoot Silver Hide and Seeker. Cheers to the party. Welcome to the party. Cheers to you and all that. I'm so fucking pumped. The Astros beat the Yankees. Jumped out to a 1-game lead, 1-0 in the ALCS. I'm super pumped. The Mariners were paper tigers. We took them down. Bip, 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 and they're all bitching on social media. They're all bitching on Twitter. Like, the Astros aren't classy. Be better. Suck it. We've had to deal with 5 years of your cheaters and trash cans and blah, 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 blah. Suck a big one. Don't give a shit. You got swept and bounced out of the playoffs. You want to talk about your back? You're back. It was very brief. You were back for a very brief amount of time, and you're gone. Bye. Bring on the Yankees. And the Yankees are all like, the Astros didn't want to face the Yankees. They were scared of the Yankees. The Astros were 5-2 against the Yankees in the regular season. 5-2. And they swept the Yankees in New York right before the All-Star break. The Astros are the reason the Yankees did not win 100 games. The Astros are the reason the Mets were tied for first place and didn't win first place in the National League East. The Astros are the reason the Yankees didn't have the best record in the American League. The Yankees got owned by the Astros. And now they're coming into our house talking shit? No, kids. No. You see, that's how it's going to happen. From 1970. Yes, Polska Bob. Eye of the Tiger will be playing in the background, and in fact, I'm training to the Eye of the Tiger montage. I'm 100% training to an Eye of the Tiger montage. And fact, Safety Doc says fact from 1972 to 1978, they were officially known as the Houston Ash Trays. That's not entirely true, but they were a dreadfully bad team from 72 to 78. Then they picked up Nolan Ryan, I think, in 70. I think it was 78 or 79 when they picked up Nolan Ryan. It might have been 77. And then they became no, it was 78. They picked up Nolan Ryan, I think, in 78, and then they went to the playoffs in 1980. And then they were shitty again from 1980 to like 1985, and then 1986 they were good again, and then they were bad again until the 90s, and they were good again in the 90s. The silver age of Houston Astros baseball was the 1990s. They were runners up to the Braves every freaking year. Runners up to the Braves every year, and it was a long, dreadful season of the Astros being really, really good in the regular season, and then facing the Braves in the first round of the playoffs and just getting bounced out of the playoffs by the fucking Braves because Tom Glavine and Eric Schmaltz and Greg Maddux and all those sons of bitches, the best damn pitchers. Oh my God, they were so fucking good. And it was so frustrating because fucking Maddux and Glavine would pitch these sliders that would go 5 feet off the outside corner, and Craig Biggio and Jeff Bagwell would sit there and just wave their bats at him and get oh, it was so bad to watch, so hard to watch that. The silver age of Astros baseball, right there through the 90s, and Drayton McLean learned that you could, in the early 2000s, learn that you could only have Roger Clemens for half a season and go to the play. You go on a 25-10 run and go to the playoffs and go to the World Series and then get swept out of the World Series. But who gives a shit? You showed up in the World Series. And that was the end of the Astros as a good ball club for the next several years. From 2005 to 2010, they were formidable. Sometimes they were streaky. They weren't really good. They were streaky. And then the bottom just came out. 2010, 2015, God, they were so bad. They were mediocre. They weren't good. They weren't bad. They were mediocre. Then in 2015, Jesus Christ, they were terrible. I'm sorry, 2010, 2015, the bottom did fall out. They were absolutely fucking terrible. They lost 400 games in 3 seasons, almost 500 games in 4 seasons. In fact, really close to 500 games in 4 seasons. And then that 5th season, they not only had a winning record for the first time that decade, but they also went to the playoffs. We weren't expecting they to go into the playoffs. They were bad. They were supposed to be bad. They were just supposed to have a winning record. And damn if they didn't slip their little asses into the playoffs. They got bounced in the first round. Whatever it was, the wild card play-in. They got bounced. They weren't supposed to be there. And the next year they weren't. But then the next year, 2017, they win the World Series. They win the whole fucking thing. I still got a boner from that. That was fucking amazing. There's very few things in life that are better than your favorite baseball team winning the World Series. Very few things. And a buddy of mine, big Chicago Cubs fan, huge Chicago Cubs fan. In 2016, the Chicago Cubs famously go to the World Series and win the World Series. And he said at the beginning of the World Series, I don't care if it means trading a Hillary Clinton win for a Chicago Cubs win. I want the Cubs to win. I will happily trade a Hillary Clinton win for the Chicago Cubs win. And I contacted that son of a bitch in November. I'm like, is it still worth it? He's like, abso-fucking-lutely. And the next year, I get it. I understood it. I understood it 100%, completely and totally understood it. I don't give a shit. I don't care if they cheated. I don't give a shit if they were stealing signs. I don't care if they were transmitting the signs with a radio receiver in the ear. I don't give a damn if they were sacrificing babies in the clubhouse in order to appease the gods so that they could win the fucking game. I don't care. They won it. They won it by the rules that everybody was playing with at the same time. They just did it better. Same way, same logic with Lance fucking Armstrong. Lance Armstrong took drugs. He juiced. He cheated his way to the Tour de France title. 7 gold jerseys, yellow jerseys, whatever they call them. Everybody else was doing it too. Like, you take the jersey from Lance, you can't give it to the second place guy. You can't give it to the third place guy. You can't give it to the fourth place guy. You can't give it to the fifth. You got to give it to like the 8th place guy, because like they were all cheating. Fuck them. I don't care. And when they opened up the letter, that's what we found out. So I don't give a shit. I do not give a shit. And they went back again in 2019. They went back again in 2020. In 2020, they went back again in 2021. They're back. This is the golden age. We had the silver age back in the 90s. We have the golden age of Astros baseball right now, and it is so much fun to watch. It is so much fun. So much fun, because we sat there and we watched them lose and lose and lose and lose. I sat there and watched a 20-game winning pitcher from the season previously go into the next year and lose 20 games. That's the Astros that I grew up with. And I do not care. I absolutely 100% do not give a shit if they cheated, if they sacrificed babies, if they included goat meat and vegan dishes. I don't care. I don't care. The Astros are my team. I'm happy that they're winning, and it makes me happy. As long as they're not like cheating in a way that like nobody else is cheating. They're cheating in the way that everybody else is cheating. I'm cool with that. Just like, when everybody else was when everybody had the sticky tacky stuff on their fingers, and then the rule came and like, you can't do the sticky stuff on your fingers, and nobody was using the sticky stuff on your fingers, and then a whole bunch of pitchers got really shitty, just like that. Like, I don't fault those pitchers for all of them doing it at the same time. I don't fault the hitters back in the 90s for juicing. I don't fault, I do kind of have an issue with Barry Bonds, because he was juicing when nobody else was juicing. Like, everybody else stopped juicing and he continued to juice. But, if they're all playing by the same unwritten rules, then, it's cool. When one team stops playing by the same unwritten rules, and, there's issues. Cheers, Vanessa Kitty. Welcome to the party. And just so you know, Vanessa, your package is en route. It is en route. As of tomorrow, UPS will have it on a truck. So it is en route. I think I missed the drop-off today, but it'll be on a truck tomorrow. So there you go. Well, you know what? I'll come back to chat. I want to talk about the Lone Star Hiking Trail. I want to talk about this trail. We've done the housekeeping. All the stuff. Friday. Adam Anderson, brand new artist that we've never had at the distillery before. Adam Anderson is going to be performing live here on the channel, and also live at the distillery. If you're in town, if you're in the Houston market, if you're in the Humble area, come out. It's a free show. We got cocktails. Bring your own food. We don't have a food truck yet. We don't have a kitchen. But come out, bring food. Bring your munchies if you want to. There was a guy last week. I don't want to put him on blast, but I don't think he's watching anyway. He might be watching. It's cool. He ordered pizza at the distillery. He ordered pizza. He had So here's the thing. Last week or the week before last. Can't remember which one it was. It was either last week or the week before last. I was expecting my lovely wife to come. I think it was last week. I was expecting her to come, but she couldn't come because she got tied up doing her own thing. And usually when she comes out to the shop, she brings pizza for me to eat, because I don't usually eat until the end of the show. So I'll go grab Taco Bell or some other garbage food and just shove it down my gullet. Homeboy walks in and he's got 2 Papa John's pizzas. It's like an hour and a half into the show. He comes, 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever. He comes in with 2 Papa John's pizzas. I'm like, where did you get those from? Did my wife show? Is my wife here? And I'm looking around for my wife. He's like, no. I ordered these because I wanted to keep drinking. And if I was going to keep drinking, I need to eat some food. I'm like, oh, cool. And he shares his pizzas with me. Yeah, that's cool. And I'll have a rant in a couple of weeks about pizza. Inappropriate pizza toppings when you're sharing pizzas and shit. But needless to say, I had my enchilada slice and I was happy. There's a story behind the enchilada slice too. But John will get that story tonight because I'm pressed for time because we started 30 minutes late. Maybe later tonight. Anyway, the homeboy orders pizza, and I was all excited because I thought my wife was there. She wasn't there, but I got to eat the pizza, so that was cool. I had a couple of slices of pizza, one from each pizza from him. I was very appreciative. He was a very, very nice guy. And I'm glad it came out. And he's a subscriber to the channel, and he got a free shot glass because he's a subscriber to the channel. If you show up at the distillery and you're a subscriber to the channel, you get one per person free shot glass. So that gives you fine folks some incentive to come out and visit us at the distillery. Okay, so that's all the housekeeping stuff. That's all the stuff. That's all the stuff. That's upcoming shows. That's plans at the shop. We got some build stuff tomorrow. We got some. I've got some changes in general coming to the channel. We have just passed our 250,000th view on the channel. Can you fucking believe that? 250,000 lifetime views. 250,000 lifetime views. And just as perspective for the channel. This month we had, or last month we had something like 38,000 views. The month before, 48,000 views, something like that. The month before that we had 65,000 views. We had just passed 200,000 views. And now we're up, we've just passed 250 as of today, 250. This time last year, I had like 38,000, I think. We were at, the hours watched were something like 16 hours watched for the month. And this month we're going to have 300, or last month we had 350, the month before 400 and something. This month we're going to have something close to 350. We're on pace right now to hit our 4,000 viewer hours sometime next summer. I'm going to try and do something about, well, no, I'm sorry, sometime next winter, October, November next year. We're on pace right now to hit sometime next winter 4,000 views, if I'm doing my math correctly. But there's qualified hours and unqualified hours. There's things to play with. But all that said, I'm looking at doing some changes to the show, relying less on live and short videos, and working to do a few more mid-range 10 to 15 minute videos. Mostly cocktail stuff, trimming down my live build stuff into 10-15 minute consumable bite-sized pieces. Longer than shorts, shorter than live, somewhere there in the 10 to 15 minute range, including the gaming videos and just, nonsensical stuff that we do in our off time. I mean, Jesus, earlier this week I Twitch streamed some 1v4 squad games where I soloed a squad match and I fucking won. I crushed it. I won a squads match solo. So what a squads match is in Fortnite is teams of 4. I go check it out on my Twitch stream, Old Humble Guy on Twitch. It was squads of 4. I soloed it and I won the game because I'm a fucking boss. So trimming those down, and then that's like a 15-20 minute show, but I could fast forward through some things that are kind of boring and make it a 15-minute show, 10-minute show if I really wanted to. Anyway, I'm gonna work on over the next once we get through 100 of our live happy hour shows, including the trivia. I'm gonna step back and reconsider how we do our shows. I might still have the one. I don't know what I'm looking at reformatting again. Revisiting, reformatting, working on a handful of pre-recorded shows during the month, live, 3 or 4 lives during the month, 8 or so pre-recorded shows in the 10 to 15 minute range, and then shorts in the neighborhood of 12 to 16. 3 or 4 a week, something like that. So expect changes next year because we're going to be on a big push to the monetization path come January. A big push towards monetization come January because I'm hoping that this number will be at 1,000 by the end of this year for sure. Hopefully by the end of November, so I could fuck up a kangaroo. Pip pip. But expect some changes in November or in January because, uh, I'm going to kind of rejigger and reconfigure things and refocus on what we're doing and how we're doing stuff. And I'm going to try and do more stuff at the distillery. And that's kind of the focus of opening up the distillery space to the online space and doing more things at the distillery and fewer things here in the old pandemic studio. This I need to clean this place out. It gives me anxiety just being in here, but because it's a wreck. It really is. I mean, look around this place. Let me show you. I've got boxes and clothes over here. I've got trash and boxes of stuff. Just clutter, all kinds of clutter back here. There's clutter and boxes and files and empty bottles and plates. Look at that. I got fucking plates back here like a goddamn hobo. Look at what is this? Plates? I mean, come on, old humble guy. What the fuck is wrong with you? Get your shit together. Get your shit together, old humble guy. I'm trying. I'm trying. It's not easy to get my shit together all the time. I've got a whole lot of shit going on. So you know, patience. Be awesome. Be kind to each other. Be patient with each other. Be patient with me. Let me fix my camera here. All right. So yeah, one of these days, move this down a little bit. We're going to like literally just clean this entire room out because, well, one thing I've got to clean this room out. I want to replace my carpet with hardwood, so that means cleaning everything out, ripping out the carpet, replacing the floor, and then only putting the stuff back in that I want in here. Um, but for a few weeks at least, this was indeed a bedroom for me because when my wife had COVID, this is where I camped out. This is where I camped out when my wife had COVID. This is also where I camped out when I suspected I had COVID, even though I did not have a positive test. So there you go. All right, so I'm gonna break format real quick, and we're going to switch to the chat screen. I'm gonna catch up on chat because I think how far behind am I on chat? Let's look and see. How far behind am I on chat? 10 minutes? Okay, we're good on 10 minutes. Okay, so let's talk about the Lone Star Hiking Trail, guys. The Lone Star Hiking Trail. There's a reason I'm talking about this, and I want y'all to know about it. The Lone Star Hiking Trail. It is a hiking trail that is 96 miles long. It goes through the Sam Houston National Forest. And just as a reference, this is the map. Here is a map, Google map of the area. Can you see the cursor? You can't see the cursor. But let me zoom in. Let me come to my the map here. Let me zoom in. I'll show you a couple of places here. Down here is Houston. Go away. Make that go away. Down here is Houston. That is Houston proper. The city itself is down here. It is huge, 625 square feet, or square miles, 625 square miles. You can see that is downtown Houston right there on the map. That is Buffalo Bayou and the ship channel that goes through the center of Houston. That space in between the freeways is downtown Houston. That's I-10 that goes from the Atlantic or New Orleans to, does it pass New Orleans? It goes from New Orleans to LA, but it also, yeah, I think it's I-12 that goes out to Georgia, whatever. If we zoom out just a little bit north of Houston, you'll see a little town on the map called, there's the Beltway 8. That's the big giant Beltway. This is also Houston, by the way. This Beltway 8 goes around Houston. That's still Houston. We're still in Houston proper. This basically this tan area that goes up around here, that's all Houston. Okay. This little lake up here in the upper northeast part of the city, that is Lake Houston. And Atascocita is right there. Humble is right there on Highway 59. Highway 59 coming north out of Houston, that's Humble. It says I-69 right there. That's Humble, Texas. That's where we're located. My home is right here at Beltway 8 and 59. My distillery is, let's see here. Let's make this a little bit smaller. and I can put my finger up here. My distillery is right here, up here at the top. Right down here, right below, about 2 inches below my finger. That's where the distillery is, right here. And you can't see it. Well, you probably could. Okay, so if I zoom in here in this Atascocita area, that's where the distillery is. It is right up here in this area. Yeah, you can see the cursor. That's where the cursor is. It's right there where the distillery is where the cursor is circling around. It's right here. Right about there, give or take, somewhere in that neighborhood. So that's where the distillery is. So if we zoom out a little bit, about an hour north of where I'm located is a town called Cleveland, Texas. And a segment of that town is North Cleveland, Texas. So just as a, a reference point to how long this trail is, the eastern trailhead is over here in Richards. The western trailhead is way over here in North Cleveland. 96 miles. You see my hands are way out wide like this. 96 miles. That's how big this thing is. It's long. And this is 52 miles from point A to point B, but the trail kind of winds up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down across through the woods. 96 miles. So that is that. Uh, and I'm going to close that off. And if I show LSH3, so there's the trail. So that's on this map here. Where's it at? This map here. It doesn't really give the scale to understand how big this damn thing is. Go from North Cleveland all the way up and around, all the way around here to Richards, which is way over here. That is 4 reference points. That is where's my damn cursor at? That's this big fucking place right there. It's as wide as Houston. It's as wide as Houston is. Okay? So that's the reference point. It's 96 miles. Come over here. It's 96 miles, and it generally takes, let's shrink that up a little bit and move that up here. Yeah, we'll move that up here. It generally takes, 96 miles. You can divide it up into however many days. You can do it in as few as 4. If you're going 20, what would that be? 24 miles a day, basically walking a marathon a day, which isn't unheard of because the terrain for this trail is pretty much pancake flat. There's very little. I think the total elevation change from lowest to highest point on this trail is like 40 feet. It's not. We're talking over the course of the entire 96 miles, like 40 feet. It's not a huge elevation change, and most of that elevation change is going down a riverbank and up a riverbank. So basically, you're walking on a sidewalk or a dirt path around a park for the entire time. So 24 miles sounds like a lot, but if you think about a 6-hour hiking day, that's not really a whole lot. 'Cause you go 3 miles in an hour easily. Say 2 miles an hour. So you could go 10 miles or 10 hours a day. You got nothing else to do. You're out in the fucking woods. 10 hours a day, you're going to go 20 miles, 30 miles possibly. The challenge is getting up the next day and doing it again, getting up the next day and doing it again, getting up the next day and doing it again. It wears on you because there's no Holiday Inns, Best Westerns, bathrooms, water fountains. There's none of that shit along the trail. There's a few bathrooms. There's none of that shit along the trail. It is pure wilderness out in the middle of nowhere. Just as a reference, once again, this is what it kind of looks like. And that path is pancake flat for the most of the trail. Go over here. It's pancake flat for most of the trail. It's nice and gravelly and pine coated, pine straw coated, and it's a real nice, quiet, serene place to hike. So it can take anywhere from 4 days to 10 or 12, depending on how few miles you want to go. My goal, I've decided in March, I'm going to attempt a through hike of this trail. Through hiking the Lone Star Trail is not uncommon. There's a lot of folks that do it. I'm going to try and do it in 8 days. 12 miles a day, every day for 8 days. 12 times 8 is 96. Y'all are good at math. Y'all can do these things. Here's another picture of it. Where's this picture? Where's the other picture? This one? Look at that. That's the picture along Lake Conroe or Lake Livingston, whichever lake it is that it goes across. I think it's Lake Livingston. Absolutely fucking gorgeous. I'm looking forward to. That's not the one. That's the one. So that is. Nope. It was this one. This is a picture of the trail as it crosses right around here, if I'm not mistaken. But we're going to close that because it's making my computer lag. So it's a 96-mile hike over the course of 8 days, and my goal, training between now and March. My goal is to do this in either late February or March because after March the weather starts getting warm. March is the last chance we have to do nice cool nights and nice comfortable days. It's after hunting season, which ends at the end of January, beginning of February, and it gives me a few extra days to get some miles in, to make sure that I'm up to it. I need to get a new tent. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have a new tent, a one-man tent, trail tent. I need to get a new backpack. I need to plan out food for 8 days, which actually isn't going to be all that complicated because it's basically Spam and rice and beans and just basic food that you boil. It's not a whole lot. I mean, my first couple of nights, I may even have a like steak on one night, as long as it's one of my first nights, because you can take a steak and you can have it wrapped up and nice and cold and ready to go for that first night and have a really good meal on the first night. Then the rest of the time you just have Spam, and we're talking 8 days. It's not like you know it's not like I have to worry about a whole bunch of stuff. I can even just take several bags of jerky and go off that way. Um, but this isn't going to be a light undertaking. I'm in my late 40s. I've been rather sedentary the last year and a half or so, since the beginning of the pandemic. I've put on a lot of weight since 2019. I have injured my knee, somehow managed to injure my knee, and I need to figure out how to rehabilitate that. But I have started walking about 6 miles, between 4 and 6 miles every other day. So the goal is, and I'm putting this publicly for people to hold me accountable and shit. Um, the goal is to make this hike in the middle part of or the early part of March, and for what it's worth, invite people to come and do it with me. If y'all feel up to it, and you're in the Houston area and you want to do it, come and join me. Come on, let's an Old Humble Distilling Company sponsored through hike of the Lone Star Hiking Trail. I've said before, and I will continue to say, our whiskey is a whiskey of campfires, cookouts, good stories, and great friends. And what better way than to have a rolling 8-day cookout and camp out than to pack everything into your backpack and walk into the fucking woods and walk through it. So the history of the Lone Star Hiking Trail is that it was basically Houston, the Houston area, the South Coast didn't have anything quite like this when the national parks and national forests were getting started. So it was back in the 1940s when the concept was established, and the trail wasn't finished until the 70s. And basically, the Lone Star Hiking Trail came about by stitching together a bunch of old logging trails, oil field access trails, and private roads that were part of the private roads and public roads that were part of the national park, national forest rather. It's not a national park. Um, so all these trails were kind of stitched together, and volunteers maintain it. Volunteers make sure that the walkways are accessible and clear, and the entire trail is closed off to motorized vehicles, wheeled vehicles, and horses. So the only the only things allowed on the Lone Star Hiking Trail are human beings and dogs. Dogs are allowed on the trail as well, but there is hunting allowed in national forests. So for certain times of the year, it's actually kind of dangerous to just be walking around. If you do not have your um, your, what is it, blaze orange on, to make sure that hunters know that you're not a deer and you might accidentally. There hasn't been any incidents of people. There haven't been many incidents of people accidentally getting shot, but there have been people getting peppered with buckshot, but not getting. I don't think there have been issues of people actually getting shot and killed. Excuse me. There have been one or two stories. Excuse me. One or two stories of people getting shot and winged or nicked a little bit, but they got better. They got better. And for the most part, the people traversing the trail, there's like 14 sections of the trail, so there's a whole lot of people that just go up and they do a day hike through one or two sections of the trail and they bounce out. There's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of people who have done a through hike of the full 96-mile trail, but as far as the through hike trails go, it's fairly popular because it's much more accessible than other trails like the Appalachian Trail, like the Pacific Crest Trail, like the Golden Crest Trail, the Rocky Mountain Trail. There's several other trails that are like 1,100, 1,500, 2,600 miles long. This one's only 100 miles. You don't have to take 3 months to do this. You can knock it out in a week. Hell, if you were really ambitious, you could knock it out in 4 days, 5 days. 4 days would be a load, but 5 days seems a little bit more reasonable. 8 days, I'm going 8 days, and I'm thinking it'll probably be 8 nights and 9 days because I'm probably going to do a half a hike on the first and last day. The plan is 6 miles in the morning and 6 miles in the evening, but you know, I may modify that plan to do a little bit more than 6. Because a 6-mile hike is only about 4 hours, give or take, based on the paces that I've been keeping around here. Maybe it's about 4 hours. That's about 6 miles. That might be 8 miles in 4 hours. I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be able to do 16 miles, and I'll be able to knock it down by a day. But we'll see. And I will be giving updates from the trail as I update my equipment. We're gonna do equipment shakeouts and all kinds of stuff, because here's the thing: there's not any water stations along the trail, so I'm going to have to bring things in order to fill my water jugs and drink along the trail, because there's not like water fountains and water spouts and things like that to be able to drink out of. So this Lone Star Hiking Trail, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for a rank amateur. You've got to know about water purification, water filtration, uh, uh, scheduling your hike to make sure that you get to your destination and that your destination has the materials and supplies that you need, and making sure you have enough food and calories to get through the entire um, day and the entire week. Because if you run out of food and calories, you start slowing down. You don't hit your points. You don't get out of this thing in very good shape. And if you're in the middle of this trail, there's a lot of volunteers that roam around. There's more that roam around on the weekends than roam around during the week. But if you get yourself into trouble during the week, during a hike, there's not a lot of cell coverage out there either. So this isn't one of those Aaron what's his face deals where you got to chew your arm off because you're caught under a boulder. But this is very much could be a situation where you're just slumped up against a tree and you're just sitting there waiting for help because you got dehydrated and malnourished and you didn't have enough energy to keep going. So the very real possibilities of very real bad things happening, but also a very accessible hike for normal human beings who are mere mortals. So over the next, 6 months now, we got October, November, December, January, February, March. Over the next 6 months, I'll be giving some updates from the trail and updates from my shakeout hikes to shed some light on what it takes to get ready to do a through hike of the Lone Star Trail, the jewel of East Texas, the only through hike through national forests in the state of Texas. So with that, we're going to move over to the next screen, and but first I want to show these pictures off one more time. This is that's the trail, and again, 96 miles. North Cleveland is literally directly north of Humble, Texas, on Highway 59, and on the road to Dallas is this one over here, I-45. Where is it? I-45 is right here. That's the road up to Dallas. And then just west of that, by uh, 15 or 20 miles, is Richards, which is the end point of the hike. And I think I'm going to go from here this way. I haven't decided yet, but I think I'm going to go from the east, or from the western point to the eastern point, so that the trip home isn't very long. And it's easier for my family to come and pick me up. But traveling along this route from here this way, where's my finger going this way? Going this way, I will pass a giant statue of Sam Houston right about this point, where that I-45 sign is. I'll pass a giant statue of Sam Houston, go into the Sam Houston State Park, and then move out of the state park and then back into the national forest as we move back into uh, points east. And it is a very unique geographic and environmental slice of East Texas, where we still have parts of the Big Thicket, forest, and there's or cougars. We don't have mountains. We have cougars. There's cougars that roam the forest. Bobcats. There used to be black bears. There's no black bears anymore. I've heard reports of foxes. I've heard reports of all kinds of critters roaming through that area. And just look at this. Look at how gorgeous this is. Being able to camp along the shore of this, being able to just walk here and just listen to the silence as you just walk, and there's nobody else. There's nobody else there. There's no other sounds there. It's just you and your backpack, and I mean, what else could what else could you ask for? You and nature, and just 8 days alone uh, with the knowledge that the only thing standing between you and the end of this trail, you and your goal, the accomplishment of finishing this, is you. The only thing standing between you and a successful completion of this trip is you. And man, it honest to God, it sounds like absolute bliss when I lay my head on my pillow at night, and put out the campfire for the last time, and I've sipped the last sip of whiskey that I'm going to have by the campfire, and I stanch out the coals and I lay my head down. I know it will have been a good day. It will have been a good day of shit, that the only thing stopping me from making this accomplishment was me, and I did not stop me from doing that. And there's something about a campfire that makes whiskey just taste better. And I'm not even being. It sounds romantic, but it's not romantic. It's a God's honest fact. There's something about that weariness in your bones, that tiredness in your muscles, when you sit down and you've finished the meal for the night, and you're just like poking the hot coals and keeping the fire going just a little bit longer, and you take that last sip out of your cup, and it's time to wrap it up for the night, because there's nothing left to do. You finished. You finished your whiskey. You finished your meal. The fire's done. There's nothing left to do. So you kick some dirt over it. You pour the last of your water out, because you're gonna refresh your canteen in the morning anyway. So you pour the last of your water out. You unzip your tent. You crawl into bed, and you're out like that. That is a feeling of satisfaction that 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 reaches all the way down into the soul of your being. And there are few things you can do in life in general to match that. You know, there's the good days work, there's the heavy lifting, all the stuff. You've parented the shit out of your kids. You've relocated a house. You've moved all the furniture. You've painted a house. You've built a deck. You've built a shed. You've done things with your hands. You've reworked a marketing plan. You've finished a project that took you 9 weeks to work out all the details and bring dozens of people into agreement, and all the plans and all the things. A thing that didn't exist before you started now exists. And you can lay your head down and you know you've done a damn good day's work. You've done a good month's work. You've done a good 2, 3, 4 months work in some cases. But with all of those things, you don't necessarily get up the next day and do it again. But with something like this, you get up the next day and do it again, and again and again and again, and you're challenging yourself to the very limits of what you think what you're not even sure that you can do. You're not even sure you can do it. You think you can do it, but this is a stretch. Because even when I trained for marathons, the longest run I ever did was 20 miles before the marathon. Marathon's 26.2. The longest run I did was 20. And I did that one time. When you train for a long distance bike ride, the longest ride, the bike ride's 100 and something miles. The longest ride you do is 30, 40 miles tops. You don't train for 200 miles. You train for 30 or 40. With something like this, you have to bring yourself up to a certain physical level where you can walk with a 40-pound pack for 6 miles. Stop, eat, do it again. Stop, build a tent, or build your campsite and do it again. And I know there's professions of people that have to do this. They have to have this basic level of training, basic training. But for mortals who do a lot of work behind a computer screen, and our general weapons of choice are pens, because we work on desks. We don't work in deserts. Knowing that you can tax your body to the point where you can do this, and knowing that you can do it, even though you're getting on in age and you're uncertain you could actually pull it off. Because I'm telling you, from October 20th, from October 19th right now, looking forward to March, I don't know if I could pull this off. I knew for sure 3 weeks ago I couldn't pull this off, because when I took my first 3-mile hike here in my neighborhood, I could not have walked another 3 miles that day. My knee was killing me, my back hurt, I was exhausted. And that was 3 fucking miles. And then I did it again 2 days later, and I did it again 2 days later, and then I went on a hike all through Enchanted Rock. I've noticed something has changed in the last 3 weeks. I think for sure I can do 3 days of this. I don't know if I can do 8 days. Not yet. I don't know if I can do 8 days of this, because this is going to be fucking brutal. But I feel comfortable that within the next 6 months, especially if I can beat the shit out of that kangaroo by the end of in December, I feel very comfortable in the next 6 months I'll be able to pull this together. But all that said, join me on this journey. If you're in town, if you have a week to give in March, physically join me on the journey. Come and join me. Let's do the hike together. I'll bring the whiskey, you bring the food. I'm kidding. You have to bring your own fucking pack. I'm not going to carry your shit for you. But I mean, that's the other thing about this. Anything you want to bring, you got to lug that shit around. If you want to bring a radio, you got to carry the fucking radio for 96 miles. Everything you bring, you want to bring a spare pair of socks, you got to ask yourself, do you want to carry those socks for 96 miles? I may have 3 pairs of socks. I got 8 days, 4 pairs of underwear. Maybe. Do I need another pair of pants? Do I need a third pair of pants? I just need the clean ones and the dirty ones. I just swap them back and forth, right? By the end of these hikes, you generally get really filthy. You're really smelly and you're really filthy, and you just kind of hose yourself off at the end of the hike. But that's the other thing. You're not bringing a cast iron skillet. You're not bringing a Coleman 2-burner stove. You're not bringing Dutch ovens. You're not bringing the whole kit and caboodle. You got to choose one or the other, kit or caboodle, and maybe neither one of them. Maybe you got to figure something else out, which is why I'm talking about spam and spam and rice and beans, Nutri-Grain bars and all the other shit. Stuff that is light, easy, and I don't necessarily have to cook it. I mean, obviously you got to cook rice and beans, right? But it's not going to be in a can. It's going to be bags of rice and beans. I might have 5 pounds of beans for 8 days. 5 pounds of beans should get me through 8 days, right? So that's 10 pounds in my pack. 5 pounds of beans, 5 pounds of rice. That gets me through 8 days pretty easy. But is there a lighter option? Is there a lighter option that I can choose other than 10 pounds of food? Because Jesus Christ, 10 pounds of food? Of course, my pack will be nice and light by the last day. But anyway, we'll talk about this more as we move on to the next. We'll move on to the next segment because we got chat. I got to catch up and chat. How far back am I? 10:30. Shit. Am I an hour behind on chat? All right, let's fix this. It tells you how excited I am about this idea of doing the Lone Star Trail. Being able to hike the whole trail, I'm super excited about this, and I could talk about it for a long time. But let's get on with it, shall we? Shall we? Yes, we shall. Okay. A few classes of explosives that are better. Math teacher in high school quit at Christmas to be part of Cubs management. I mean, I understood. I can understand that. If you're in Chicago, and you get the opportunity to be part of Cubs management, I mean, I get that. If I were offered to be part of management in the Astros at my former job, I would have quit my former job. I wouldn't have even fucking told them. I'd have called them from my new office and said, "Hey, oh, by the way, I quit." Anyway, when the Sox won, we constantly troll. 05, when the Sox won, that's when they swept the Astros. 05 is when they swept the Astros. The White Sox swept the Astros in 05. That was the year. That was the fucking year. We had a 25-10 run, went to the World Series, and got swept. And man, and it was a great World Series too. Even though we got swept, when the Astros got swept, it was a great World Series because all the games were like 1-0, 2-1. We had was that the year we had Randy? That wasn't the year we had Randy Johnson. That was the year we had Pettit and Clemens, and it was fucking amazing. That was a great year. It was a great World Series. And the Astros are to date still the only team to have gone to the World Series in both the National League and American League, and the only team to have lost the World Series in the National League and American League. Greg LeMond, I don't know if Greg LeMond was a juicer. I don't know. He probably, I mean, Greg LeMond was prior to the juicing era, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was juicing. But just in different ways. It was prior to that era. He was early, mid 80s, I think, late 80s, early 80s. It was a long time ago though. Cooking babies is a little over the top. Maybe a little bit over the top as far as cheating goes. Maybe sacrificing babies in the clubhouse is probably a little bit beyond the pale. But if everybody's sacrificing babies and they're just the ones that got caught, then I don't have any problem with it. Okay. You'll show up and buy some of my used barrels. I will have plenty of used barrels in the summer. Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you. I mean, I know some of them are funny and some of them not so much. Uh, some of them hit and some of them don't. And today I had one pop off for 3,500 or so hits, but I had one get nailed for a copyright violation. This is the fucking stupidest fucking thing. I just re-recorded it and released it with a different music backing. It was just the dumbest thing. I mean, whatever. Um, it the walk, the Lone Star Hiking Trail is literally a walk in the park. It is a national forest, which is part of the Park Service, and it's literally a walk in the park. Literally, it's just 96 miles. It's just a 96-mile walk in the park. I mean, big deal. Um, and yeah, reloading water is the big challenge because there's a lot of places along the trail. March is still part of the wet season here in Houston. It's not humid, but it's part of the wet season. So March there, it's 8 days, and you need a liter of water every day. So or 2 liters of water every day. I can't remember how many liters of water you're supposed to carry. But that's like 2 gallons, 3 gallons of water that you got to carry plus cooking water. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight. So, you have a gallon of water that you refill in the morning, and you basically carry that with you for the rest of the day. And if you plan it correctly, you get to your destination and you refill it for cooking, and then the next morning you refill again and you hit the trail. So if you plan it correctly, you start with a full bottle and you finish with an empty bottle, then you refill it for cooking, and then you refill it again and you go. So if you plan it correctly, that's how it works out. And you could probably go with two large, whatever, half-gallon, uh, 2 liter jugs that you can put on either side of your backpack. Um, but that's just logistics. That's part of the planning of the whole thing. And there's places along the trailhead or along the trail where they have trailheads where you can stash water. So if you drive out the day before, you can go from trailhead to trailhead and stash yourself an extra couple of gallons of water along the trail. But it's just so much easier, and so I think it's so much easier just to have the filtration gear and clarification tablets, purification tablets that you can use, and just get your water along the way. It's risky because you may go a half a day without water, but it's just easier that way because you got to lug that shit around. A pint's a pound the world around. So if you have 4 pints of water, which is a gallon, I think. No, 4 quarts is a gallon. 8 pints is a gallon. That's right. 2 pints per quart, 4 quarts per gallon. That's 8 pints. That's 8 pounds of water per gallon. And if you're carrying a gallon around, that's 8 pounds of your pack. And you got 8 pounds of water. You got the pack itself, which weighs 2 or 3 pounds, 4 or 5 pounds. You got your tent, you got your bedroll, you got your sleeping bag, you got your food, you got your clothes, and you got your random gear. You're talking 40 or 50 pounds, and a quarter of that is food and water. It's a heavy fucking pack. And you got to carry that shit every day. Every day, everywhere you go, you got to carry all that shit. I'm working right now to drop 50 pounds so that I can do this, and then adding another 50 pounds back onto my back. I want to try and keep my pack weight down to between 30 and 40 pounds. It's going to be a challenge, but that's kind of where I want to go with it. I want to keep my pack weight down to between 30 and 40 pounds. I may have to go up to 50, but that means I'm getting my weight down by 10 more pounds just to protect my knees and protect my legs. But that's kind of the goal. That's kind of the goal, and we'll see how it works, and we'll see how it goes. Nick Nepper's in the house. Cheers, Nick. Welcome to the party. Glad you joined us. Um, yeah, hydration absolutely affects mood. Um, and space whiskey is going to be a topic for another show. Space whiskey is absolutely going to be a topic for another show, and we'll talk about that another day. But yes, Hydration absolutely affects mood. It also affects decision making. It affects your decision whether to keep going or stop. It makes you, if you're dehydrated, you kind of want to stop, but because you just kind of want to shut down. But it also affects your decision making, so you may choose to make bad decisions. Like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just keep going. Instead of 6 today, we'll go 8, or instead of 6 tonight, we'll go 8. And the other goal, the other challenge is going to be time, because in the woods north of Houston in March, it gets dark. It starts getting dark. I need to move my this way. It starts getting dark around 4. So I need to be at my campsite by 4:30 tops, unless I want to be pitching my tent and setting up camp in the pitch black. And I would rather not be setting up camp in the pitch black. I would much rather be setting up camp in the twilight. So, I want to have my tent up and my camp set by 4:30, 5 o'clock at the latest, so that I can start my fire and cook my food and not have to rely on lantern light and flashlight uh, for the remainder of the evening. And then I can be done, washed up, cleaned up, finished up by 7 o'clock. Uh, uh, Chill out, relax by the fire for an hour, just rest and recuperate, and have a glass of whiskey or cup of whiskey, whatever, by 10 cups of whiskey. Just kind of relax for 30, 45 minutes or whatever, and then hit the sack. Record a video or two from the trail, and then hit the sack. Be done. So that's kind of how the timing of the day. And I'm sure I'm going to wake up at the crack of fucking dawn, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, eat breakfast, hike out, be done with my morning hike by 10 or 11 o'clock, have lunch, um, get rolling again by noon, and then I'll be done by 4. So that's 6 hours in the morning, 6 hours in the evening, done by 4 in the evening. Everything, have a schedule, have a plan, have a pack, but the decision making also is presumes good nutrition and good hydration as well, and just a good level of fitness, so that I'm not making bad decisions along the way. So there you go. Cheers, sunflowers! Welcome to the party. You are here. What is it? 11:20. 11. It's only 15 minutes behind. Good. I'm gonna catch up. Good. Where did I do my marathon? I ran my marathon here in Houston. The Houston Marathon in 2000. I was 31, so that would have been 2001. No, 2006. The 06 Houston Marathon. No, 07 Houston Marathon. My first attempt was in 06, and I failed. I got about 16 miles into it, and I had to tap out because my knee was beginning to bother me. And then the next year, I finished it in 5 hours and I think 11 minutes was my official time. 5 hours and 11 minutes was my official time. I've got the medals over there. I would like to do another one before I turn 50. This was my goal, was to run a marathon when I was 30. I ran it when I was 30 years old. I did not do it before I was 30. I ran it my 30th year, which would have been January 06, right? Because I turned 30 in June 05. And yeah, I think it was January 06 that I actually ran it successfully. I think. And then I ran a bunch of half marathons and 5Ks and 10Ks and stuff like that. The last 10K I ran was, I think, 3 years ago in Galveston, Texas. The toughest 10K, it goes over the causeway. But yeah, I used to do endurance stuff. MS 150s, which are 150 to 200 mile bike rides between Houston and Austin, Dallas and Ardmore, Oklahoma, and San Antonio and Corpus Christi. I rode my bike, the 2-day bike rides, 150 to 200 miles. Marathons, half marathons, I only did the 2 marathons. I didn't. I signed up for marathons after that, but I always knock it down to a half marathon because something would happen. I twist my ankle, hurt my knee, get the flu, whatever it was. The timing was just bad on all the other marathons for whatever reason, and my heart wasn't in it. I wasn't really committed to it. So if something came up, I got the flu. The marathon was in January. I get the flu in like early December, and I'd be like, I gotta take 2 weeks off of running. I can't do this. I'm gonna knock it down to a half marathon, and then I just run the half marathon. Half marathons were so much better in my mind because it was like 2 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours for a half marathon, done. Um, Full marathon was 5 fucking hours of running, 5 hours, not just 5 hours of running, like 6 months of training. Ugh, of upping your miles. And see, back when I was younger, 3 mile runs were nothing. 6 mile runs were nothing. 6 miles is what I did on Wednesday. Like literally, my schedule for running was 3 miles on Monday, 6 miles on Wednesday, 3 miles on Friday, and 10 miles on Saturday. That was my normal week of running. 3, 6, 3, 10. Normal week. And most of the weeks I would skip the 10-mile run because I'd sleep in and then I'd wake up and it was like 8:30. Sleeping in was 8:30. Wake up at 8:30 and it'd be like, if I run 10 miles, it's going to be 12 o'clock before I'm done because I got to go put my shoes on and put on shorts and I got to eat breakfast and da, da, da. Then I just like, fuck it. I talked myself out of it pretty easy. It wasn't hard to talk myself out of it. But yeah, that's how I would do it. And now I'm in my late 40s now, and my goal is basically just to go out there and walk 6 miles a day. 6 miles, 6 miles, 6 miles every other day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 miles 3 times a week. If I could do 6 miles 3 times a week, and eventually knock it up to running 6 miles 3 times a week, then fucking walking 12 miles a day is gonna be easy. It's gonna be fucking easy. No problem at all. And right now, when we go on vacation, usually we go on vacation to these rustic places like Palo Duro Canyon or Inks Lake or uh, Enchanted Rock or whatever. And we wake up in the morning and we go on a hike or we have breakfast and we go on a 5 mile hike and we come back and we have lunch and we take naps. And we do it for 3 days and it's fun. And we go, explore the parks and we explore all the stuff and do all the things. And it's fun. It's enjoyable. And, we're keeping up with the kids and doing all the stuff. And we stop and we have a picnic and I carry the food. My wife carries the drinks or I carry the drinks, she carries the food, or I carry the food and I carry the drinks, whatever, because I'm the big strong man. Um, but we stop and we have our picnic and we enjoy ourselves. We love doing stuff like this, going out in nature. 12 miles a day for 8 days without amenities, without support, without water, without food, without grill. I mean, when I talk about doing hikes and stuff, we have a base camp. We have a base camp. Our tent's there, or our RV, a camper, whatever it is. If we run an RV or camper, or our tent, or whatever, our cabin for if it's a KOA, we have all the shit there. And we go to the place, we do the hike, and then we come back and we start up the grill and we make lunch, and we do all or make dinner and we do all the stuff. We play video or board games and cards and stuff like that. We have a good wholesome family uh, vacation, whatever. We're a whatever a postcard 1960s family when we do this shit. Um, go down to the lake and fish go fishing. The kids catch something and I don't because I suck at fishing. I hate fishing. Absolutely hate fishing. Um, I can't tell you how much I hate fishing. I absolutely fucking hate it. Um, but 8 days in a row, like I haven't done 8 days camping since I was probably 22 years old. I haven't done 8 days camping in a tent in eons. I mean, we took a 14-day road trip But that wasn't camping in a fucking tent. That was going KOA cabins and state parks and stuff like that. That was sleeping on mattresses and and having relatively comfortable night sleeps. This is gonna be something wholly different. Sleeping on a sleeping on a fucking styrofoam mattress on the floor of the forest in a sleeping bag in a tent that is about that wide and just about 7 feet long. I mean, these one-man trail tents, they're not fucking around. They're like, you get in this thing and you sleep. That's it. This is not something that you get into and read books and, talk on the phone and do computer stuff. This isn't a home. This is a shelter for your sleeping bag. That is it. Do you want to roll over? No, you're rolling in place. You're not. This is not big enough for a twin size or for a double size mattress. This is big enough for a twin size mattress and barely big enough for that. You want to carry twice as much tent? That weighs twice as much. You gotta lug that shit around, homeboy. We're not messing around with this. Oh God. So much, but I'm so much looking forward to it. It's gonna be a huge challenge, but I'm so much looking forward to it. Absolutely looking forward to it. Um, uh, the best recommendation that I could give is just get up in the morning and walk around the block. Start walking, and then add more and more and more after that. Just keep going. Just start. The hardest part is starting. The hardest part, the absolute hardest part, is always, always, always starting. Because you look at the distance in front of you and you think, I've got to go all that way. No. A journey of 1,000 miles is initiated with a single step. And then you take another step, and then another step, and another step, and next thing you know, you're halfway there. The hardest part after that first step is crossing the halfway mark. Because as you approach that halfway mark, there's no turning back. Every step along the way up until the halfway mark, if you turn back, it's a shorter trip. But once you pass the halfway mark, there's no turning back. It's shorter going forward than it is coming back. And I can tell you, when I successfully ran my first marathon, when I unsuccessfully ran my first marathon, my first failure, when I passed that 13.1 mile mark, the big halfway marker, they always have this big giant halfway marker. You've passed the halfway point. I was suffering that first year. I was suffering. When I passed that first mile, the first halfway point, I knew I wasn't going to finish. Uh, I knew it. There was no way. I knew it. Like I was suffering. My body was rejecting the activity. Like everything about it. I'm like I'm pushing. I'm forcing. I'm fighting. It's not working. I'm not convincing myself to do this. I knew I wasn't going to do it, and I made it 3 more miles, and I had to bail. The next year when I did it again, and I passed that halfway mark, I felt great. I knew it. I absolutely knew that every step after that point was getting easier. Every step after that point, I was getting closer. Every step after that point, I was getting stronger. Because there's the psychological thing when you start, every step you take, you're getting farther away from home. But when you pass that halfway point, you're getting closer and closer and closer to home every time, every step you take. And that's a psychological thing that you need to that I came to understand, and it works for me. I don't know if it will work for you, but this is what you need to do. Just walk around the block. Start walking around the block, and then the next day do 2, and the next day do 3, and the next day go further down the road. Go around the corner and go down the road, and then the next day go that way, and then the next, just keep expanding your horizon and trying new things and challenging yourself to do something else. But you've got to get that voice in your head that internal monologue telling you, get up, go do something. 'Cause for me, I hate the idea of one day sitting down, one day laying down on my deathbed. I'm done. The minutes that I have left are counted in the dozens or maybe hundreds, and I know that the time that I have left is tangible and quantifiable, and the end of the road is there. And I would hate at the end of the line to have to look at my kids, to look at my sons and say, I wanted to sit and do nothing more than I wanted to see you graduate from college. I wanted to sit and do nothing more than I wanted to see you graduate from high school. I wanted to sit and do nothing more than I wanted to see your children, to see your wives, to see your children graduate, to see your children's first concerts, see them play trumpet or oboe or ukulele or whatever the fuck instrument they're going to play back in the 2060s. I don't want my final moments to be that I didn't want to do anything. I would have rather sat and done nothing than get an extra 2 or 3 years. Because that's ultimately what it boils down to, is that I'm currently trading the last 5 years of my life for nothing right now. For stress, for donuts, for ice cream, for naps at 10:30 in the morning, whatever shit that it is that's causing this to be a thing. I'm choosing this versus my grandchildren, my great grandchildren. I mean, the reality is I may never meet my great grandchildren because just timing. I mean, I'd have to live another 30 years. I don't know if I have another 30 years. My dad was 75. If he was 75, then maybe I don't have 30 years. Maybe I only have 40. And if I only have 40, do I see my grandchildren? Do I see my great-grandchildren? I don't know. I'm sure I do. That means if I have 40, then my youngest would be 51. I'm sure I get, by the time he's 51, I'm sure he's got kids. Possibly his kids have kids. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Depends on how shit goes 40 years from now. I don't know how kids are going to be. But, I mean, it could be 15. It could be 20. Sitting on a hospital bed with tubes coming out of me and that incessant beeping of the fucking hospital equipment. I could say, I squandered the last 25 years of my life, or I chose at some point to reclaim my time. And that's for me my mindset. I don't have underlying health issues that would prevent me from doing that. At least none that I know of. I don't have underlying, I don't have anything, thyroid or pituitary or cancery. I don't have anything preventing. The only thing preventing me from fulfilling my timeline is me. I said this a few weeks back that I've got friends of mine who died from cancer. Friends of mine who died from chronic respiratory something or another's. And these are diseases that you don't. We talk about fighting cancer, and it's a fucking brutal slog. But cancer cheats. You can't fight something that cheats. That it comes at you, and you come at it, and it mutates, and it goes around, and it metastasizes, and it gets into your goes from one organ to another, and it metastasizes, gets into your lymph nodes, goes throughout the body, gets in your brain, gets in your lungs. Fuck it fucking cheats. You can't fight something that cheats. You put yourself in the hands of the technology. You put yourself in the hands of the medicine. The medicine does what the medicine does, and then if they can cut it out, they cut it out. You can you can work to keep your energy up, and do all the things that you can do, but uh, I mean, it sucks. I hate cancer. It's a fucking lying piece of shit. A cheating, lying piece of shit disease. Condition? I don't know, whichever you call it. But like just being fat and dying, being obese, letting your arteries clog up and your heart fail, like you can fight against that. You have to fight. If you don't fight, you just lay down and you can, turn into a puddle of people, so to speak. You just continuously turn into a human sofa. Um, and if but you got to get up, you got to be active, you got to do stuff because our general technological lifestyle doesn't encourage that. You sit down and you work and you do computer stuff and you type and you think and you work and you're tired and you go sit down and you rest and you take a nap and you get back up and you drink coffee and I mean that's how you're not lifting bags of 50 pounds of grain and tossing them from here to there, or grabbing hay bales and moving them over there, or wrestling steers or stuff like that. That's not what most of us do. We're not lifting pipes and shit like that. You've got to fight. You've got to get up and you've got to actively fight in order to stave that off. And that's my mindset right now. Is that uh, yeah, and like I said, again, I don't have any underlying physical ailments that would prevent me from doing it. The only thing preventing me from doing it is me, my lazy brain saying, you don't have to get out and do 6 miles today. Just relax. Okay, I'll relax. You earned that ice cream cone. Okay. You earned it. You earned it. You worked hard today and it was hot. You earned an ice cream cone. Like I'm some kind of fucking 3-year-old. So, like I said, I don't have any underlying health stuff. So, for me, it's just like get up and fucking do it. You have to get up and do it. Get off your ass. Go to the gym. Get off your ass. Go to the park. Get off your ass. Go to the track. Get up and go fucking do it. That's me. I don't know how to motivate you. I don't know. I'm not a motivator. I can't tell you what it is that gets you off your ass and off your off your couch and out to do the things that you need to do. You've got to find that thing yourself. But for me, that's where I'm at. It's the knowledge that in 30 years, or let's see here, in 8 years, what is it? 6 years, I've got a kid graduating college. 7 years maybe, and then 5 years after that, I've got another one graduating college. And then I got grandkids coming 5 years after that, maybe. And then, it's just like, how badly do I want to see my 70s? How badly do I want to see my 80s? How badly do I want to see my 90s? Will I see my 90s? Whose decision is that? It's mine. It's my decision. It's all my decision. And this through hike is part of that motivation because I'd really like to do something like this. I'd really like to put this in my book of stories and say I did this thing. I did this thing that very few people have done. I walked to the top of that mountain. I've been to the top of that mountain. I've crossed that canyon, and I've hiked through that forest. That's pretty fucking cool to be able to say I've done something that a whole lot of people have never done. That's one of the reasons why I did a marathon. I ran a marathon. You know how many people have run a marathon? Less than 1% of the entire human population has run a marathon in their entire lives. Less than 1%. I am part of that 1%. That's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. It's hard to do, but um, definitely something that I've done. And I'm very fucking, even though it's something I did 15, 17 years ago, almost 20 years ago now, I'm very proud of the fact that I did that. Because it's a thing that you do, and it's hard to do. So I'm proud of the fact that I even did it. So there you go. Yeah, 30 minutes of physical activity 5 times a week. That's hard to do. It's hard to do. You just got to get up and do it, and that's what I'm saying. You just got to get up and do it. 30 minutes is 30 minutes is an episode of Friends. It's an episode of The Simpsons. It's one TV show. Instead of watching the TV show, go walk around the block a few times. But you gotta do it. You gotta do it. You've got to put yourself in a mindset to do it. You've got to convince yourself. You've got to get yourself in a place where whatever it is that you're doing can wait until you do the thing that you need to do. You prioritize your stuff, and that's how it goes. I've driven all over the city of Houston to get 4 signatures on a document because it was a document that I absolutely had to get signed. So I drove 170 miles between Southeast Houston, West Houston, Southwest Houston, and North Houston in order to get those 4 signatures, because that's when those people were available. It would have been easier to go from Southeast to Southwest, but I had to go from Southeast to West, and then from West to Southwest, and then from Southwest all the way back. It would have been really easy to start up here with the signature that I needed up here, but that person wasn't available yet. So, and it was just a matter of importance. I needed to get these signatures, and these are when these people were available, so I had to just drive all over the fucking city. I had to do it, and I did it. But that's how it goes. Do what you got to do, right? Nobody else can run the miles. Nobody else can lift the weights. Nobody else can do the things you need to do. You've got to do the things you need to do. And it's okay to be mean to yourself. It's not okay to be mean to other people, but it's okay to be a little bit mean to yourself, as long as you understand yourself. Because in my head, my personal trainer was Cotton Hill from King of the Hill. He'd sit on my back in a little backpack like Yoda and just scream at me the whole time. You think you're good enough to have chicken? Chicken is for winners, you fat little fucker. You're gonna keep running until you can. If y'all could hear the audio in my head when I was running, when I was training, I was brutal. And I'd be sitting there on the trail running, laughing. Laughing at myself and the audio track going through my head. You're just a fucking piece of shit. Why are you gonna run so goddamn slow? You're gonna run so slow, the chicken's gonna be gone by the time you get home. You think you're gonna get winner's chicken? You're gonna get loser's chicken. Loser's chicken is what you get, boy. Oh Jesus, good times, absolute good times. And then there was the time that I went for a bike ride for 16 miles. Then I ran for 4 miles, all in the same day, and ended up throwing up because of it, because it was just too much, too much exertion. Good times, good times. Okay, you have a friend that's Venezuelan, lives in Chile. On Saturday, she hikes up the Andes, and hikes on Saturdays. Holy crap. That's, I mean, and you see, when you do it enough, it's just like on Saturday, I just hiked up a mountain. That's a level of physical exertion that I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But one of these days I might be. We just don't have mountains in Houston. Although I did do training. Part of my training for the marathon was running hills. And what we would do is find an overpass that went over railroad tracks. And it was a big overpass, like one of those like 40-foot overpasses. So it was like all the way up and all the way down because the trains would go underneath. And we would run the overpass, and we'd just spend an hour going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. One of the most brutal workouts, absolutely most brutal fucking workout that I ever did, because it was like an hour, like an hour's workout, but it's like 10 minutes up the hill and 5 minutes down the hill. 10 minutes up the hill, so it's like 4 times up the fucking hill. Oh my God. Yeah, and 10 minutes up is a long time. Is a long time. That's a long run. That is tough. I like the idea, Bolo, of hammock camping. I just don't like the idea of. I don't like the actual function of sleeping in a hammock, because I like to sleep on my side, and you can't sleep on your side in a hammock. If you sleep in a hammock, you're on your back. You're not rolling, you're not moving, you're not nothing. You're on your back. That's it. Um, so yeah, I like the idea of it. I'll nap in a hammock, but getting that full REM sleep, I can't do that. I've tried. I can't. Uh, but also, this time of year, this particular time of year, March in the Houston area, especially in the woods in the Houston area, gets really cold. It can get down to the high 30s and low 40s. So there's no insulation coming from the ground when it gets like that, and it can be very uncomfortable and cold. But with a little ground cover, a little styrofoam mat, and maybe a blanket on top of the mat, and then the sleeping bag on the blanket. Yeah, it is extremely cozy. Very, very cozy. Um, Phil Stream. Phil who? I don't know who Phil is. You got to give me. Bacon's in the house. Holy fuck. Cheers. Bacon. Welcome to the party. Uh, Sounds like a one-person tent. That's exactly what it is. It's a one-person tent. Lights me. um, See, that's the thing. A 7 foot by 7 foot tent. My our two man tents are 7 by 7, nice solid square 7 by 7 tent. But it weighs twice as much as my one man tent. And we're not talking about a lot of weight. We're talking about maybe 2 pounds versus 4 pounds. So we're talking about 2 pounds of tent, but that adds up when you're talking about a tent and a flash, tent and a lantern and food and water and clothes and bedding. I mean, that shit starts to add up real fast. It adds up real fast, and it becomes very very burdensome. I can't just dump it off on somebody else. I have to carry that crap. But there's also going to be at least 2 or 3 shakeout hikes. Uh, when I have my gear together, I'll load everything into the bag, and I'll go off on a 6 mile hike and come back and then pare it down again, and then go off on a 6 mile hike, pare it down again. I'm trying to get this shit down to the bare fucking minimum. Um, and I may not get below 40 pounds. It may be, but I definitely want to keep it below 50. So there you go. Chicken tenders and JoJo's from a gas station earlier. The call was your cat has gone so far. One of the biggest points I got from Aaron Clary. I don't know who Aaron Clary is. Time is the one resource you never. That is 100% true. You can't. I mean, everything we do trades time for something else, and you can't ever get that time back. And that is something that has been reinforced time and again when I'm running the distillery. There's a day to make money, and you can make the money on the day. And at the end of the day, if you didn't make the money, you don't get that day back. That's it. Right now I have 4 days a month where our distillery is open to the public, and I've got to maximize my opportunity on each one of those days to get people at the distillery. And that's Friday nights, and I'm looking to add either Thursday nights or Saturday afternoons. But I got to make sure I do it right and make sure that people are that I can meet people there and that people can meet me there. So it's all balance, and it's all stuff that needs to be done. You set your priorities, and you spend your days doing those things that matter. And at the end of the day, you look at your the ledger of how you spent your time, and that tells you what mattered. Uh, you know, you if you have homework to do and you chose to play Fortnite and the homework didn't get done, that just means the homework didn't matter that much to you. Fortnite mattered more. You got to reorganize those priorities if you actually care about the homework. If you say you care about it and you do care about it, you do what you do, and that's how it works. Um, there's Loser's Chicken. Yeah, see, Loser's Chicken is just like regular chicken, the winter's chicken, except the Loser Chicken is cold because it took you an extra 15 minutes to get home or an extra 30 minutes to get home. So the chicken that was ready at 6, you don't eat it until 6:30, so it's cold. That's the difference between Loser Chicken and Winter Chicken. Winter's chicken is hot and moist and tender and ready to eat. Loser's Chicken was ready 30 minutes ago. You suck. um, um, sunflowers, high bacon. What else we got? Have I caught up? I have caught up. Us hammock guys have insulated the warm. See, I would really like to try it. I've got a hammock in my backyard. I enjoy laying in the hammock and the warm sun and the cool breeze and all. But it's the cold coming up from below. I've got a nice thick um, sleeping bag that I mean this sumbitch it is heavily insulated and it feels great. Especially I mean I took it out to Enchanted Rock. Enchanted Rock, by the way, is just absolutely fucking amazing. Enchanted Rock is a giant granite basilith in the middle of central Texas. It's a giant rock literally sticking out over the hill country, 400 something feet up, 423 feet, 416 feet, something like that elevation. It's eighth of a mile trail up. So it's like every 10 feet it goes up a foot, I think, is how it works out. Absolutely gorgeous country out there. Absolutely gorgeous country out there. If you follow my Twitter, you saw pictures. If you follow the Instagram, you probably saw pictures there. I didn't post any on the YouTube. I had a video that I didn't post. But the reason it got its name, Enchanted Rock, is because in the heat of the day, the granite expands, right? Because it heats up and it expands, and then in the cold of the night, it contracts. And in the morning, as the sun's coming up and the cold rock starts to heat up and expand, you can hear it groaning. It starts to groan, and you can hear that. If you're on the rock, if you're camped out around the base of the rock, you can hear it moaning and cracking and popping as it expands as the sun comes up. And then at the end of the day, when the sun goes down, you can hear it as it starts to give off heat, especially on the far side from where the sun. You can hear it start to differentiate, and its temperature start to contract again and start to moan and groan again. And that's how the original first people who had settled that area gave it its name of Enchanted Rock, because the rock sounded like it was enchanted as it grew, as it expanded in the heat and contracted in the cold. You could hear it moaning and groaning and popping, uh, which is just absolutely, I mean, it's absolutely fascinating, but it's also just gorgeous country. It's absolutely gorgeous country out there. Uh, you can see trillions of miles into space because the sky is so dark. You can from the top of the rock, you can see for miles around. It is absolutely amazing, a beautiful place to be. Um, and I was very pleased, very blessed that I was able to hike my way up to the top because my knee was being very gimpy that week. Um, but great place to be, great way to shake out some of the bugs. I learned that my backpack was not good enough. It had broken. My backpack literally broke on day one of my camp out at Enchanted Rock with the Boy Scouts. So uh, yeah, fuck that up. But um, you know, the kind of foods that I need, the kind of water that I need, all the stuff that I need. I made a whole list of stuff that I needed uh, that I wanted to have, make sure that I had for the trip. So it's gonna be a good trip. I'm gonna feel really good about this. Um, the challenge is going to be actually compiling the stuff that I need and making sure that I have all the gear that I need to get this thing done. But it's going to be a good trip. It's going to be really fun. And again, y'all are invited. If you're in the area, if you're in town, if you want to come down, it's going to be early March. I'll set the dates. Y'all can come on down and do it. It'll probably be before. No, it'll be after spring break. It may be mid-March, not early March, because I think spring break is early March. And then I'm going to do this right after spring break is done, because I don't want, my family doesn't want to fucking do this with me. That would be crazy. Um, but yeah, y'all, absolutely. So 100% Old Humble sponsored. You got to bring your own gear, but I'll bring the whiskey. There you go. So there you go. Camping place you can. It is so. Oh my god, bacon! It is so different. The stuff you pack in when you are car camping, when you park and you take your stuff out of the trunk and you set up your camp. Like we've got a big old cabin tent that is 9 feet by 9 feet, and it's big enough for two full-size beds, me and the lovely wife and the two kids, and you can stand up in it and change, and you can drop down partitions and separate. So it's got to be bigger than 9 feet. It's big enough for three full-size beds because it's got enough for a room on this side and a room on this side and a room in the middle. Um, that motherfucker must weigh 50 pounds by itself. You throw that in the back of the car. You throw that. You have a cooler. You have a Coleman. You have the Coleman stove, the Dutch oven, the skillet, the larder for the food with the dry goods. So you have your bread and your grains and your beans and your rice and all the stuff that you have in there, and then you have the ice chest that has the cold stuff, which is your eggs and your bacon and your sausage and your meats, your lunch meats and your dinner meats, and then you have your pantry that has all the cooking materials or the cooking accoutrements that you need, like your paper towels, your spatulas, your skewers for your s'mores. You have you have all that shit. So uh, you have your two dry containers, you have your wet container, your cold container, you have your tent, your bedding, your bag for your clothes, your bag for her clothes, your bag for the kids' clothes. So you have at least 8 bags, 8 things of stuff. And all of that shit is in the back of your car, the back of your van, the back of your truck. If you're backpacking into a place, you don't have any of that shit. You're backpacking into a place, you have like eight packets of Spam. You're backpacking into a place, you have a bag of beans and a bag of rice. You don't have a skillet, you have a pot. That's it. You have one of those little stainless steel cooking sets that collapses into a single uh, uh, canister. You don't. Yeah, I mean we have a in our kitchen gear we have a percolator for my coffee. We have the coffee. We have so many packages of uh, matches and lighters. We've got all the headlamps, all the flashlights, all the shit. We travel like the Sultan of motherfucking Brunei when we go and travel. When we don't have the big giant cabin tent, when we can actually camp by the car. We've got a rooftop tent on our van. The thing scallops open like this, and the floor folds out like that, and the ladder comes down, and you climb up in that bitch, and you're on top of the van, and it has an annex that comes out and a whole nother room that comes out. So we've got Let me show you what this thing looks like. Camper. Show you what this motherfucker looks like. It is. This is a very good. Look at that. It looks like this. That is kind of what we got. That's kind of what we got rocking on our minivan. Although ours is bigger. That's what she said. Because ours sleeps four up top. We go around like I kid you not, like the Sultan of fucking Brunei. Because this is, I mean, it is deluxe accommodations between the awning, not the, oh, there we go. Look at that. This is what it looks like. Look at that. See that? Move you over here. Go over there. Go. Shoo. Shoo. Okay, I'll come back to you. Hang on. Add to photos. We'll do it this way. We'll do it the hard way. This is the stuff right there. That is how you go camping when you're with the burritos. That is, it is a little tree house on top of our van with a whole room next to the van, and it is deluxe accommodations. I kid you not. If you, I've taken that to a music festival, and when you're just too fucked up to be able to climb the ladder to get into the treehouse, you just crash on the cot down there at the bottom. It is great. We stayed in that thing for 4 days at Cades Cove in no, 2 days at Cades Cove and 2 days in the canyon in the gorge in Georgia. Great accommodations. Absolutely love that that little thing. But you know, it's entirely different when your tent is there attached to your car, or when your tent is in the car. Entirely different than when you got to put it on your back and hike it out 12 miles to where you're going. It is absolutely different mindset entirely. Because when when you're throwing everything in the car, it's like, do we need it? Yeah, maybe we want it. Throw it in there. You know, you're throwing in your laptop, you're throwing in the small TV, you're throwing in a generator, you just keep throwing stuff in. You're packed up to the rafters. When you're backpacking, it's like, do we need it? Do we need it? Do we? Yeah, maybe not. No, let's throw it out. Whatever. I can get by with 2 pairs of socks, not 3. I can get by with 1 pair of pants, not 2. I can get by with we don't, instead of bringing the little generator, let's bring the more spam. No, we don't need a skillet. We don't need a Dutch. We don't need any of that shit. Yeah, fuck all that. Yeah, it's yeah. And yeah, Mojo, I've never gone I haven't gone backpacking 7 days before. I've gone camping 7 days where we like pack everything in and we're down and we're just chilling out. And I mean, like one of my favorite trips. Uh, my family used to have a farm out on Red River in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and it was an old family farm. It hadn't been used in 100 years or whatever. It had been rented out to some farmers for a while, but I packed up my camping gear, parked at the entrance to the farm, hiked out whatever 100 yards, 200 yards, uh, and then just threw my tent down next to the levee, and that was it. And I set up my hammock. Uh, and this is what I did for the next 5 days. I ate lunch, I ate dinner, I made breakfast, which was scrambled eggs and bacon from one of those dehydrated things. I hiked around the farm. I talked to the cows. I picked some pecans. I tried to hunt squirrel unsuccessfully in the pecan grove. Um, I did a whole lot of nothing. I tried fishing unsuccessfully 3 times. Failed to catch a single fucking thing except some sun. It was just, yeah, it was great. And then I came home and it was on Super Bowl Sunday. I came home on Super Bowl Sunday and lost my voice. Proceeded to lose my voice because I hadn't said anything to anybody for 6 days, except cows. I said stuff to cows like, "Hey, cow, I'm here. You need to move." Hey, what's up, cows? So there you go. Yeah, but yeah, I haven't unloaded everything and then loaded everything up and moved every single day for 7 days. But this through hike through the Lone Star Trail is going to be exactly that. 7 or 8 nights where I unload unload my backpack, set up my tent, eat dinner, go to bed, wake up, break camp, hike, eat lunch, hike some more, unload, set camp, eat dinner, go to bed, rinse and repeat. I'm looking forward. It's going to be fun. Like I said, it's going to be a huge challenge. It's going to be, but I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely. And if I can figure out how to make my backpack weigh less than 30 pounds, I'm going to be winning. Because the goal is between now and March to drop myself. I want to drop 40 pounds by the end of the year. Because my lovely wife said if I drop 40 pounds by the end of the year, she will get herself a slave Leia costume. And if I drop 50 pounds by the end of the year, she will do a dance. Y'all don't get to see that. Fuck you. But I want to see it. So I'm going to do my level best to get myself down to uh, the magic weight to get her to drop 40 pounds by the end of the year, 50 pounds to get a dance. That's I think it's doable. Not impossible. Definitely doable. I got what, 3 months? October, November, December. I got 3 months to drop 40 pounds. I can drop 40 pounds by the end of the year. Anyway, rather fun encounters with women on that trail from callers to the men's room. One reason I'm considering uh, encounters with trail rats. That's see. Cheers, C&T Designs and Arms. Welcome to the party. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot of encounters that, especially after the first couple of days, because the people out on the trail, they reek. They all, after the first couple of days, everybody starts stinking. Like there's no, but I guess if everybody stinks, it's fine. Don't squish the insulation. That is actually really important. But yeah, I guess if everybody stinks the same, it's kind of fine. Just so long, everybody everybody's cool with the arrangement. I guess it doesn't matter. But um, married a gal you met. I'm wearing the men's room T-shirt. See, I know a guy who hiked the Pacific Crest. I think it was a Pacific Crest Trail. Uh, yeah, I think it was a Pacific Crest Trail, and he said he got a trail name. The other hikers on the trail gave him the trail name of Half Track because his boots, they were following behind him by about 3 hours, 3 to 6 hours. They were behind him by about 3 to 6 hours, and one of his shoes, one of his boots, lost half of the sole. So when he was hiking, he had a whole boot print on one side and half a boot print on the other side. So when you're on the trail, that trail. I don't know about this trail. I don't know how much footprints and tracks you can see on this trail from people in front of you and people behind you. I don't guess you see any tracks on the trail from people behind you, but I don't know how many tracks you see on the trail in general because of I haven't been on it much at all. But on this trail, you kind of got to know the people in front of you by the tracks that they left, and he was leaving a half of a shoe sole track in front of him or behind him as he walked. So they gave him the name Half Track. When they finally met him, I think it took him 4 months to hike the trail, if I'm not mistaken. When they finally met him and gave him his nickname officially, because you can have a nickname in absentia, but you don't get it officially until the people who've given you the nickname meet you, and then you get that name. When they finally met him and confirmed that he had lost half of his sole on one of his shoes, he got the name Half Track. And that's one of those trails where you have to have supplies dropped in front of you, you know, every 2 or 3 weeks down the road, so you make sure you have food and water, because you can't carry 3 months of food with you. You can't carry 3 months of water with you. You can't carry 3 months of clothes and all that shit. But yeah, the romantic in me says it'd be great to do the Appalachian Trail. It would be great to do the Pacific Crest. It'd be great to do the Rocky Mountains, whatever trails there are out west. But the practical person in me says, man, you're going to be too fucking old when you're 55 and 60 to be able to go 1,500 miles from Georgia to Maine. There's no way in hell you could do that. But I could do this. And if I can do this, then I can consider doing other things. If I can do 96 miles in 7 or 8 days, then I can consider doing 1,500 in 90 something days. I can consider it. But we'll see. First things first. Space Whiskey motivated as a CNC 1858. Space Whiskey is going to be a thing. Space Whiskey will be a thing. Mark my words. We will do the things that are hard, not because they are easy, but because they challenge mankind to do the things that he's never done before. We will take a barrel of whiskey and we will send it to space and we will recover it. We will recover it intact and we will drink that whiskey and we will drink that whiskey and it will be delicious. Why will it be delicious? Because that is why capitalism beats communism. Every day of the week and every year of the month. Every month of the year. Whatever, you know what I mean? Shut up, don't ask questions. We'll do these and other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Oh, good God. 7x7 tent with 12x12 gazebo to go over it. Putting a tent on the west side of the campsite with a queen size below it. Lots of lessons learned camping in hot Russian. With the hot Russian X. Wow. More spam. No, don't give me that shit, man. Spam is good. Well, hang on. Let me rephrase that. Spam is acceptable. Spam is moderately appetizing food when you don't have any other options. When you don't have any other options, spam is just about the best fucking thing you can put your mouth on. The mouse party started. I don't know what that means. Didn't see him. Gonna check it out now. You mean tell me you're not your 4-burner crew with a blue Rhino propane tank and a kegerator of beer on your 90-mile hiking trip? Uh, no. No, I'm not going to bring all that. No, not going to bring all that. Although, you forgot the goat. The the half a rack of beef On the pike in between the two campers, you and the guy behind you, walking with it on your shoulders like this. Oh, Jesus. Ah, Lord. So anyway, yeah, that's the plan for March. Certainly for March. Um, so 40 pounds in 2 months. See, what I figure is not only what I figure is all this crap that I've accumulated. Um, Most of it is water, sedentary weight, and whiskey. And I've cut back on the whiskey a little bit. Uh, and I've significantly upped my physical activity. So yeah, I mean it's not impossible. It's a stretch, but it's not impossible. And she didn't give me a time limit either. So I want to do it by the end of the year. It'll probably be February by the time I get it done. But she didn't give me a time limit. So it's like bring it on. Just absolutely bring it on. Um, she said drop 50 pounds and she'll do slave Leia with a dance. And I'm like, you got it, bitch. We're doing slave Leia with it. I didn't say bitch because she'd have fucking divorced me, or at least kicked me square in the nuts. But you gave me some motivation, baby. We're gonna do this. I want to. Never had slave Leia in my bed. We're gonna do it. I mean, I've had plenty of other fantasies, but not that one. I want it. Let's do it. I'm on it. um, what do we got? Carry months worth of potable water. The filter and collapsible containers pretty doable. Exactly. Filter collapsible containers. Um, you know the thing. uh, the hiking fridge full of meat. Exactly. And a generator. You gotta have the generator. You gotta have the generator and the 5 gallon diesel tank or 15 gallon diesel tank to go with the generator, the jerry can. You have the jerry can, the generator, the refrigerator with all the meat in it, and then the stove with the propane tank and the Dutch oven and the cast iron skillet, and of course the cast iron griddle. You got to include the cast iron griddle. Don't forget the cast iron griddle. Um, the utensils, all the stainless utensils. You got to make sure you have all those. Um, the uh, canvas tent, the canvas army tent. That's 20 by 20 or whatever. Um, and the wood for the floor of the canvas army tent, and and while you're at it, since you have the canvas tent, you got to have the Franklin stove to go in, the wood burning Franklin stove to go in the tent, and the pipes coming out of the stove to make sure that the tent doesn't fill up with smoke. You've got to have all that. Those are requirements for just basic camping. Um, All of those things are basic requirements. Um, so there you go. But it's 12:30. It's 12:37. It's almost 12:40. It's time to wrap this up. The Astros start tonight at 6:30. Um, I will be at the distillery in the morning. I have 2 woodworking projects that I'm working on tomorrow for assembly that I will be doing tomorrow on the show. I'll go live from the distillery probably around 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I don't like going live from the distillery early because I got to eat lunch at some point during the day. But maybe I'll have a late breakfast so I won't have to worry about lunch. Um, and I'll just go till like 4 or 5 and eat dinner early. Maybe, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I got 2 woodworking projects I'm gonna do tomorrow. So I don't know if we're gonna do trivia because the Astros start at 6:30 and trivia is usually at 9. And the Astros won't finish until 10, so there's significant conflict on time there. I'm watching my Astros. Sorry, I've got priorities. So Um, this is the most. Where'd I go? This is the most. What's it say? There it is. This is the most weight-laden luxury hiking trip ever. See, the thing is, you just have to carry all the shit to the. Oh, and this. Speaking of which, so the Boy Scout trip to Enchanted Rock, the camping site was 3/4 of a mile from. So the parking lot, there was the parking lot, and then 3/4 of a mile hike to the campsite. In between, about a half mile from the campsite and a 1/4 mile from the parking lot was the bathroom. Maybe it was close to the campsite. Maybe it was a 1/4 mile to the campsite, from the campsite to the bathroom, a half mile to the parking lot. Either way, bathroom was in between the campsites and the parking lot. And the way Boy Scouts travel, they've got Coleman grills, propane. They got all the shit, right? They fucking travel, right? But this was a backpack. This was a half travel, half backpack thing. So they had all the food and all the stuff, and they were going to hike that stuff to the campsite. They were going to hike that stuff 3/4 of a mile to the campsite from the parking lot, so that they could have all the food, breakfast, dinner, lunch, all the stuff right there. So on day one, when we show up, we hike all of our bags and stuff to the campsite where we pitch our tents and we set up camp. Uh, they loaded all the stuff on the back of the Ranger's truck and brought it to the bathroom, which was about a half mile in, give or take, 2/3 to halfway in. And then they changed their mind. So we loaded all the stuff back up on our backs and carried it back to the parking lot where we decided that's where we were going to have the circle where we'd do dinner and just social time and relax in the evening. So we hiked that shit out half a mile back to the cars in the parking lot. And so at the beginning of every day, we'd get up and we'd have a 3/4 mile hike to go start making breakfast, and then we'd rally up and go to Enchanted Rock and go on a hike around Enchanted Rock and do our hiking all day long. Then go back to the campsite, the parking lot for the campsite, do dinner, and then when we were done with dinner, hike 3/4 of a mile back to bed. Every day, 3 days. Not the best planned camping trip, but definitely enjoyable and fun. And I learned a lot about my gear and what I was capable of doing, um, and how hard it would be to hike at night. But it was a good shakeout. Uh, Definitely good shakeout for the gear and stuff. Okay, Friday night, tomorrow night, we're going live from the distillery early. I've got a couple of builds that we're going to do. A game, the ring toss game that we're going to make, and my production booth for my computer for the video for Friday Night Live. And then there's Friday Nights Live. This week we have Adam Anderson, an artist that has never before been to the distillery. Never before been to the distillery. Brand new artist for the distillery. Very super duper excited about having him out there. Next week we have Josh Brown on Friday and Tyler Cantrell on Saturday, but we're not streaming Saturday. You have to actually show up for that one. Oh, bacon. What are we using for hygiene on the trip on the trail? Toilet paper. I have a roll of toilet paper. On my list of stuff, roll of toilet paper. I've got my personal hygiene stuff: deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste. I'm not going to need to bring soap because there's no showers on the trail. Where there's places where I can wash off, I will, like in the lake, I'll go into the lake and just rinse off, get the crud and garbage and dirt off of me. But that's about 3 days, 4 days in, where I can go to the lake and get clean. Um, but I don't want to carry a bar of soap for 96 miles if I'm only going to use it for one day. I might get one of those little travel things of soap. That's the little thing that's like that you just it's a single use thing. I might get one of those. That would be something I can use for the one time that I'll have access to water that I can clean myself with. Um, so there's that. But yeah, so it's a very sparse kit of toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, maybe a single use packet of soap for the one time that I'll be on the water side where I can get stripped down and go into the lake and clean myself up. But that water's gonna be fucking cold. Um, and then toilet paper. That's it. Uh, there's not much else unless I'm forgetting something. Maybe some talcum powder uh, for dryness, or to cut back on the maybe some Astroglide to stop with chafing, something like that. Maybe I don't know. There's not a whole lot that I need to throw into the kit for. I mean, I don't need shampoo. I can shave this off before I go, so I don't have to worry about collecting uh, pollen and bugs and stuff in my beard. Um, yeah, there's basic personal hygiene that you need on the trail, and it's okay if you're by yourself. It's okay for a couple of days, but after 2 or 3 days, you start smelling yourself, and that's just ugh. When you're walking and you can smell yourself stinking, you got to do something about that shit. So there's the waterless soap that they have, the dry soap, the dry shampoo that they've got. That's a possibility. Um, but just being able to clean yourself off. There are spots along the trail where they have uh, some amenities. And that's what's really cool about this trail guide. They have everything that's along the trail. Um, see, there's each section. Each section of the trail is like a day hike, and all of the sections are separated out in this book. Um, like for example, mile marker 69. Um, there's a creek with low flow but good water. There's a fence corner, creek ATV track, and a horse farm. Fireside Lane, which is a dirt road at the 26, the other direction, 26 and a half. Primitive campsite number 2 to the right of the trail is at the 68.6 mile marker, heading from the west to the east. There's a campsite. It's a primitive campsite, so there's no water. At mile 70.1, there is a water faucet. A hiker bridge over drainage. Low flow, good water. And they have a little notation there that has the little water there. So that's a good water site. Um, at mile 72.3, there's a potential campsite on the left, but there's a shallow, clear water site at 72.2. See, there's where'd it go? See, there it is, all the little water droplets there. And if you go all the way over here, shows it to be a good water spot as well. So, and then here at the parking lot, there's a trailhead, but there's not a whole lot of places where they've got like showers or places where you can like really. They've got primitive campsites along the trail, but not like camp. They're not KOA campsites. They're not um they're not like bathrooms or stuff like that. Like the whole trail is a men's room, but there's no spots that are really designed for civilized amenities, if you will. There's parking lots that have bathrooms. There's recreation areas, which have some fairly, like here, these green ones here, Double Arrow Lake recreation area, Double Lake recreation area, which should have good, should have good amenities for hikers and campers, but again, can't plan necessarily to have stuff like that available to you. And that type of spigot, as you can see here, says that it is a seasonal and unrated water source. So it doesn't mean that that at that recreation area that it would be a particularly good water source to use. Although it's a lake, so I should be able to at least walk out into the water and clean myself up a little bit. And there are these campsites that have the circles on them, like that one, that is a designated camping site. And there's several of those along the way. So designated camping sites are where you actually have to go camping during hunting season. So there's that one there. That's a designated camping site, and that is at the 75-mile marker. But then there's others that are just primitive camping sites, and like here at mile 80.6. 80.6. Can you see that? Is that visible? At 80.6, this is a bench that has a potential camping site right there. It's just a bench, and it is a waterless camp, is what it's called. So, I am planning. I'm jotting down notes of on the first day 6 miles. This is the target. The second day 12 miles. This is the target. All that stuff. Trying to figure out. Relieve yourself downstream from where you're filled to the water. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and see that's the thing. You should probably go in a hole, but then you have to carry a fucking shovel to go in a hole. So yeah. So yeah. The TSA size tubes in a pouch for hygiene. That's not. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. The little tubes, the single use or double use packs of stuff like that. You don't need a whole thing of toothpaste. You don't need a whole thing of a whole giant toothbrush. It's all about conserving space and weight. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, the places where you collect moisture and collect bacteria, feet, armpits, crotch, butt crack, hands, this around the back of your neck and under your chin. Everything else is pretty much okay, but that time of year, March is still long pant weather when you're hiking, but it's not long sleeve weather when you're hiking. So there you go. Anyway, it's almost 1 o'clock. It's time for us to wrap this up. It has been a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Expect some changes to the channel in January, but in the meantime, I'm going live for a day in the life tomorrow We've got Adam Anderson on Friday, live with Friday Nights next Wednesday. Maybe we'll be talking about space whiskey next Wednesday. We'll see. Trivia is not happening next Thursday. I have a gig Thursday. We can't do trivia. Friday, we'll be back with Friday Nights Live with Josh Brown Band. And then back on our regular schedule that first week of November, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Get you some. Don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe. We get to 1,000 subscribers. I fight a kangaroo. If we get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of November, I fight a kangaroo, and then we're going to be focusing like a fucking laser beam to not just have 400 hours of watch time, but closer to 600 or 800 hours of watch time. If I can get this thing fully monetized by June, that would be awesome. But I gotta like double my watch time by between now and the end of year, which, I mean, I've already quintupled it. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. In the meantime, let me pour myself a parting shot. Think with your whole brain, guys. Love with your whole heart. Decide your priorities and act on them. Be awesome to each other. Cheers and good night. And also, once again, thank you all for your support. I really do appreciate it. We'll see more of y'all and more of me tomorrow. Bye.